The best person to ask for a tradesman is always another tradesman. Tradesmen work in the same environment of where your customers are. And if you're any good at your job, you're going to get recommended daily. And not just that, if a tradesman needs work doing, then they're going to get you around their house as well if they've got your number. If they rate you as an electrician, as a plumber, as a carpenter, as a builder, they're going to call you up to get you around to do the work at their house. So in this podcast, I'm going to go into detail of 7 businesses that will be a good idea to become friends with, because then that will help you generate more work and consistent work in your business. Now, the first one, it's going to be pretty obvious. It's going to be builders. And builders, they can be a pain to work for a number of reasons. But there's no doubt that builders, when they're on site, when they're doing a job for somebody, they get asked for electricians every day. But if you're ever going to do work for builders, I'd say put in a decent price, because it never goes to plan. If a builder is either building a house or an extension, there's always something that they might mention to the customer and say, you ever thought of having outside lights? Make sure you get it all down in writing, exactly what you're going to do, because when the job's half done, you can guarantee there's going to be some extras added along the way. And for some reason, when a builder or the customer accepts your quote and they say, right, you're going to be the electrician for this job, then if anything happens, you're going to be one they call. There was one builder that was digging the footings for this extension, and it went straight through the internet cable. It was Virgin Media cable that went into the house. Who'd they call? They called the electrician that was going to do the job. We need you now just for a day. And to be honest, that's an extra. It's got to be an extra, because you've got to go out your way for the day to repair that cable. So make sure that the customer knows that, or make sure that maybe the builder knows that. Come on, man, it's got to be an extra because you've damaged the cable. I didn't quote for this. And I don't know if builders just play dumb, or they just want you to do all these extras for free because they've done a mistake, really. They just assume that, you're the electrician to do the job, so if anything goes wrong, you've got to fix it. So it can be a bit of a nightmare working with builders sometimes, but they get you plenty of work. They give your number and your name out all the time to all their customers, and I think that's a good thing. So this next one might sound a bit strange, but over the time, as me being an electrician and running my own business, I think that being friends with car dealers is fantastic. Car dealers, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe they get people into their car lot where they're selling them a car, and they're trying to befriend them to be the best friend they can, because obviously they're trying to sell them a car. And if one of them customers say, we're having an extension done at the moment, but we're struggling to get hold of an electrician, I guarantee you that car dealer will give your number over at the drop of a hat. I have got so much work from car dealers passing my number over. I say to people, where did you get my number from? So-and-so car dealers, they gave me your number there. And it's fantastic. I do get a lot of work from the car dealers that I know. And as an added bonus, these car dealers, they're always changing their offices around, or they're changing something in the showroom. And even in the workshop, if they get a new machine, say, right, we're going to fit tyres now, but we need a three-phase supply for that tyre machine or something like that, then they call you up. So there's always plenty of work for car dealers. So the next time you're shopping for maybe a car or even a van for your business, then make sure to let them know that you say, right, I'm an electrician. Drop them a card, drop them your number, something like that. Leave your number with them, because then if they ever need an electrician, I guarantee you they'll call you up. Now, we've seen all over the internet that if you work for an IT guy, it's a bit of a nightmare. But these IT guys, they do get you plenty of work. Because if you work in a bloke's house that works in IT, you can guarantee they want an Ethernet cable every single point. I don't understand why these days, because everything's bleeding done through Wi-Fi. But they want an Ethernet cable to every single point next to, near enough every single socket. I've got a TV up there. I need 2 RJ45s up there as well, routing back to a server room. A lot of the IT guys have always got a server room in their house. Don't know why they take their work home with them, but that's what they do. And the thing is, they work in these big network places as well. So whether they work in an office or for a lot of companies, all these companies need an electrician. So then if you do a great job for a person that works in IT, they're going to recommend you to all these companies as well. And I don't know if you know, if you've worked in server rooms before, But the jobs are pretty easy. You can always do day-to-day trunking, or they've got the false flooring where you can run all your cables under the false flooring on cable tray and make it look nice and neat. A lot of the jobs that I've done in server rooms, it's just that 3-compartment trunking all the way around. And if they change their mind or want to move a socket, it's in single. So it's the easiest thing just to add another socket or add as many sockets as you like. So being friends with an IT guy, yeah, it can be an advantage sometimes. Another great contact to have is companies that do roller shutter doors. 9 times out of 10, they will connect up the electric themselves, because roller shutter doors, sometimes they don't need much of a supply, or it's already there. They're just replacing a roller shutter door and the three-phase supply is there. So yes, the engineer will be competent enough to connect it up. But if there's no supply for that roller shutter door and they're changing it to an electric one, then you can guarantee that that engineer does not want to go into a three-phase board. He's like, nah, I'm staying away from that. I need a three-phase supply putting in. And that's where electricians come along. I think it's funny because sometimes a lot of engineers, they don't mind going into like a single-phase board. But if they think three-phase, not touching it, 415 volts, that can blow you up. Well, I've got something to tell you here, mate. 240 volts can blow you up as well. And this leads me on to this week's sponsor of the podcast, LPS Shutter Doors Limited. Not only do they install industrial and commercial roller shutter doors, LPS provides shutter doors, fire solutions, security and fencing railings, industrial gates, automatic barriers, cellar door enclosures, welding and fabrication too, along with providing a 24-hour call-out for maintenance and repair. For every automatic door and gate solution, visit lpsdoors.co.uk. and you'll be able to get a quote directly from their website. And the bigger business that you work for, the more customers you get. Because I've done work for both of the directors of LPS, along with their friends and family too. And the next one is schools and colleges, which are sometimes hard to get into, because I do know that it's more of who you know, not what you know with maybe schools and colleges. Cross my palm with silver sort of thing. If you've got a friend that sort of dictates where the work's going to go within a school or a college, then yeah, they're going to push a lot of work your way. And they normally stick with the same contractor unless he retires or their business folds. However, if you do get into doing work for schools and colleges in the summer holidays or the holidays when the schools are closed, you are going to be mega busy. Remember that. But you'll also be mega busy with a deadline. There's so much always going on in schools and colleges and universities. There's pat testing, there's repairs, and they're always changing something, maybe changing a new classroom into maybe a kitchen area. They're going to have to upgrade a lot of the supplies in there because they're going to have ovens and, well, things that pull a lot of juice, to be honest. And all the work in schools, they're always bundled up. They've got a list that they say, right, this is broken, that's broken, and they get it all done in the summer holidays. So you can have plenty of work to keep you busy in the summer holidays if you do work for school and colleges. And for schools and colleges, if you're good with your quotes and you detail them out with risk assessments and all the relevant certificates, then they're going to keep using you for the work continuously. And you do find that in schools and colleges and doctor surgeries and things change all the time. When they have an afterthought, if you mention something saying, yes, you need a smoke alarm in this room too, then yes, it will get added on. Plenty of stuff gets added along the way in premises like that. But once you're on their contractor list, then yeah, they'll use you for basically everything. And the good thing is that electricians are not the only one that are sort of vital in these environments. Because I've been in there before when they say, right, yeah, you need a painter now, Ben. Like, do you know any painters? You can recommend painters to come in. And they'll be getting plenty of work out of them as well. But always remember, with schools and colleges, you've always got a deadline. You've got to get that job done and dusted before the students come back in. There's been occasions where there's been a few bits that need tidying up when the students are there or when the public's there. And that is a bleeding nightmare, because you've got to make sure that the whole area is coned off. If you're going into the ceiling, the whole area where you're running a cable has to be coned off. But sometimes it's a walkthrough. So you've got to do it in stages. Pull 20 metres of cable to one point, cone it off, 20 metres of cable to the next point. It just makes their life 10 times harder. So if you're going to do jobs for schools, colleges, doctor surgeries, make sure you get it done in the time where you can make the mess, in the time where you can have all the ceilings down, in the time where you can run your cables in a oneer. Another great contact would be the hospitality industry. Restaurants, cafes, hair salons, pubs, anything like that, because these sort of industries, if they ever have a problem, they need it fixing now. In pubs, in my experience, there's always someone in there that will put their hand up and go, yeah, I can do electrics, and they'll billy bodge it up, and that temporary fix will be a permanent fix. But that's only a few people. Normally, if they've got an electrician on hand, they'll call up and go, right, the freezer's gone off or the smoker's gone off to the restaurant. They'll call you up and they'll pay whatever to get it fixed, because if that's not working, then they're losing money themselves. But saying that, in the hospitality industry, make sure that you're not fussed about doing call-outs, because you will get a call-out all the time. If you're on their contractor list to say, right, this is the electrician for this pub or for this restaurant, then yeah, you'll get a call-up when things need fixing. And when things need fixing in that industry, they need fixing now. Now, this next one, it might sound like a little bit fussy, but I don't like working in the wet, cold and wind and rain. But I do like working outside in the summer. So for ground workers, a lot of the time, ground workers, they go into someone's garden and they completely change that garden. Or garden landscapers, as they call themselves. If you go in there, they'll always suggest, oh, why don't you have some lights? And they've always got the colour changing lights as well. I notice this landscaper that I do work for is always suggesting to the customers, well, why don't you have colour changing lights off a remote control in your wall? And I've put them in a few times. So they recommend all these fancy lights and they get you in to do the work. And the trick with that is to make sure you get in at the beginning, when they rip the garden to bits, whether you're going to run your armoured cable in so it's nice and tidy underneath the ground in maybe a ducting, or maybe when you've put in the lights in the walls. I've put these lights in walls, and rather than putting the lights in, because you can guarantee that they're going to get them covered in muck when they render the walls, just put 25mm conduit in so you can wire them all out later on and nothing gets damaged. And the job satisfaction you get from doing garden lighting, it is quite nice, because the customers will always send you a photo when it's pitch black, because if you do it in the summer, you're not going to hang around their house till sort of 10, 11 at night when it gets dark. They'll always send you a photo saying our lights look beautiful. And that's sort of a nice feeling when you get a customer sending you pictures because they're so chuffed of the work you've done. Because a lot of the time, what electricians do, say they rewire a house. Yeah, a customer's not going to send you a photo going, look, my kettle's working or my microwave's on. They're not fussed at that. They're just happy that it all works. But garden lighting, you get a bit more job satisfaction, I think, of seeing it all lit up and looking nice and beautiful, flashing red, green, yellow and blue, basically. And I think there are plenty of contacts to be made within the tradesman world. Every tradesman you work for or work with, maybe, swap numbers. If he's a good plumber, then you're a good electrician, and you can swap numbers, because tradesmen always need other tradesmen. It's how it works. If you're on a job and someone says, oh, my boiler doesn't work, and so you test out, it's not the electric, it's more than likely something to do with the boiler gas valve or something like that. I don't know. It could be anything, but they're going to need a plumber. So if you get a good plumber, you can recommend a plumber, and vice versa with a plumber. He'll always recommend you as well. So that's a good one to have. Builders and ground workers, yep, they're a good one to have, because they'll give you plenty of work, and more than likely they'll call you up all the time when they've gone through a cable. I have been called up before where someone's gone for a mains cable in the front drive. There is nothing I could do. That was down to basically the DNO to go and sort that out. But having plenty of contacts that are other tradesmen, this will help your cash flow be constant and your workflow keep rolling in. And getting these contacts, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. It builds up over time. So if you need to get some work now and want to generate customers to do some work tomorrow, listen to the next podcast. How do contractors find work today? By listening to the podcast and implementing the sort of steps that I mentioned in the podcast, you can get work as soon as tomorrow. So if you know one of these contractors that say, yeah, work's slow at the moment, I haven't got much on, share that podcast with them, because there is plenty of work out there. All you need to do is go out and find it. So until next time, I'll see you again.